Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. Powered by BetSperts, we are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, Mr. Andy Molitor. And I guess we'll start with the tennis. Iga continues to dominate, and Rafa continues to dominate, and pretty boring, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's boring if you didn't win. Like, I'll take boring. Well, it's funny how I don't remember which year. Not 2016. We were referencing the 538 stuff on Deep Dive the one night, and the one really galling one was when the market had the Golden State Warriors about minus 110 at the start of the playoffs, and 538 said they have a it should be 20 to 1 or whatever. It's 5% somewhere around there. And I remember I bet that for a slightly uncomfortable sum. And that was one of those where it's like, this is fine if it's boring. Let's have boring. Let's have 16 and 0. I don't give a shit. So boring is beautiful when you have the right bets. But yeah, it was from a standpoint of some of the great matches we've seen over the years. I'm trying to think of my favorites. Probably, I mean, what was it? Roger Chilich a few years back. Maybe that was an Aussie, or I'm trying to think of when they played. Or honestly, and I had Tsitsipas as a future when he was Djokovic, and still, like, looking back at that from the lens of I'm not as mad that I lost all that money now. It was kind of amazing seeing, like, that's what best of five tennis is. Like, it can be a marathon. You can be up 2-0 and somebody can grind their ass back, which is not what we had this weekend. It was just dominance from an old hat and dominance from a new youngish gun who is, like, what, the best number on one of the futures for any of the remaining slams this year's about 3.5 to 1, because
And now
I
I don't think we'll get
know.
anything too much higher than that. I think it's going
No,
to be close to even money on this stuff.
I saw a plus 350. Maybe that was next year's Aussie, but I
Mm.
mean, if anything, it gives it some time for somebody to emerge from the den of, here's a bunch of people who are good but not good enough. I don't know. Is that, just real quick? Is that the case for? Are we going to see? It's a lesser surface for, but is there someone who's good enough on grass to? I'm sure you'll take some futures, especially after the draw. We can find someone on the other half of the draw for sure and get them there. But boy,
There'll
it
definitely
seems
be
like
some
it's
some
not
big
fun.
numbers worth playing. It's hard though. You're like you said, it's grass season. I mean, we didn't have grass tennis in 2020. There was a little bit
Mhm.
last year, and you just have a lot of people that haven't played on the surface. And you're right, actually, as I look down, Iga's close to almost 2 to 1 for Wimbledon and plus 250 for the US Open. The US Open is different. That's it's become kind of a mess, honestly, at the end of the year with the season being so long, and it's just a grueling tournament. I mean, we saw it last year. It was almost a survivor contest, with all due respect to the winner, Emma, and was it Medvedev on the men's side?
Lit
Or no, it was
was
Rafa.
was,
No,
was
Medvedev
that
side.
the one where Fernandez went deep too?
Yeah, yeah, it was Fernandez. Emma beat Fernandez. Yep.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, yeah, that's what, like, that was a messy final. Like, the fact that those girls just came out of nowhere, not nowhere, but kind of out of nowhere. That's what the US Open kind of has become. It's almost an afterthought for me as I'm getting so deep into football by that point. But I'll watch Wimbledon, watch the shit out of Wimbledon, and yeah, good job for anybody who put her
Cash
in
those
a
Ega parlays.
parlay. Yeah, put her Ega in a parlay. Maybe you're sitting on some nice numbers for the U.S. Open golf. Maybe you have something with the Celtics. Maybe you have something with the New Jersey Generals. I don't know. Most of it, I was just happy to get the actual plus 150 I had. I know some people were smart enough to grab her at 4 to 1 when Barty retired, and it was nice to get that money as well. So we'll dip into tennis later in the show, as we have one of my favorite tournaments is going on this week. We'll get to that, but yeah, we talked a little off the air about the NBA Finals. Wanted to look at the markets. It's kind of funny how I feel like Tatum was shorter. I don't know if maybe it's something, and obviously the Brown market, but looking at the MVP markets after we've got to 1-1, Tatum is slowly becoming less of a favorite. If the Celtics were to get this done, seeing some, I don't know, extra money coming in on Brown. Smart, I think, was has gotten longer it's probably just a 3-horse race at this point. Like Curry's doing enough for the Warriors. Nobody stepped up enough in the first 2 games to probably shake that crown if they get it done. But looking at this right now, are you still of the mindset that the Celtics will win this series? And at that point, who do you think gets their MVP award?
Yeah, I still think it's the Celtics. I mean, honestly, the series price, I'm confused as to why they've adjusted it.
Yeah.
I mean, Celtics are right around -165, -170 before that game. They lost a game in which they were an underdog and still retain home court advantage, but now the series is back to a pick 'em. So if you don't have any Celtics series price already in your pocket, from pre-series, go ahead and take a look at some stuff that just it seems like an over adjustment for me. And as I look at the MVP final odds, Curry is basically the same price, actually a little bit deeper than the Warriors are to win the title at this
Yes.
point. So don't bet that. I mean, just bet them to
Don't
win the
don't
title,
bet minus
honestly.
120 if you can bet the Warriors at minus 110. That is the same bet and one is priced worse.
I think the Tatum thing, he's had kind of two duds so far. I mean, last night wasn't a terrible game, not as bad as game one, but it still isn't good. So we'll see how things turn around a little bit when they get back into Boston. I wouldn't mind a bet on Jaylen Brown, honestly. He had a really good first game, not so good the last game, but I think he's actually pretty close with Tatum if the Celtics win the championship, which again still feels pretty solid to me as they go home with home court advantage. I think last night was a little bit of a down game for them. They know they've got one win in their pocket. They've taken home court. We see this all playoffs, especially at the beginning of some of these series for this young team. They've just kind of floundered in some of these second games. So I think they'll be more comfortable at home. And yeah, if these MVP final odds overall look pretty good. Maybe a small bet on Brown. I wouldn't hold that against you, but it does feel like it's one of those three people and probably the top two names.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find a better Brown price than that, is kind of my plan today. And yes, as our friend Doc, I'm not sure why I give that a weird kind of affect. Doc Better was talking in the NBA chat this morning. Like, he was more along the lines of saying there was an arbitrage, a small one, between, certain books that take enough limits. I was more of the mind where I just didn't see the series price after game two. I assumed it was still like Celtics minus 140. I don't know. I was very surprised at that. I don't even really understand the market as well as some of y'all. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go look for the best Celtics price, and it's one of those again. And I always have the one guy who yells at me for being mean to Boston. I don't like Boston. I would not want to see them be successful. And if they are, I'm going to get paid. So I had a Celtics price to beat the Heat. I will have a Celtics price now I didn't grab one before game one. I'm not 100% sure why. I was feeling smart about that for 3 quarters, and then things happened. But I will find something if I can find anything close to even money. That's a bet. I'm betting the Celtics to win the series right now. It just seems a little unsustainable what we're getting from the Warriors and we're heading to Boston. Could be 3-1 heading back to the Bay. So that's the plan anyway. North of that, I believe in Toronto. Have not read Ron's preview article yet because it's still sort of early for me on a Monday. It was a long
North of the
weekend.
border,
North
somewhere
of
up
the
there.
border. Yeah, something we haven't had as people who follow the NBA know, or the MLB now. There were several Minnesota Twins who were not invited to play in the Toronto series. There are still stricter guidelines in Canada regarding some of the COVID stuff. We saw that with God, what was it, the Nets going up to Toronto? Or no, the Nets going to
The
Toronto.
Sixers.
The Sixers during the playoffs. So same kind of thing. The RBC Canadian Open was a bit weird during the past 2 years. We are back on track. It is going to be held at St. George's, not to be confused with Royal St. George's. That's a whole nother thing. But this will be played, and I'm pretty excited about this. I do got to read up on it. It's a weird par 70. It has 3 par 5s and 5 par 3s. Don't love a 5 par 3. So obviously par 3 golf is going to be upweighted a little if you actually believe there are golfers who are better at those. But I mean, just guys who are great with their irons are going to have one extra tee shot into a green off a tee. So I'll be looking a little at that. And the odds suck. Like, a couple people have said it already, but it's not a great tournament as far as pot. Actually, I suppose the purse. I mean,
Well,
the pot. I was
uh,
gonna say they are a little loosey goosey about laws up there, so maybe it is a little good tournament for that. Where's Victor Hovland at? But Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Sam Burns, Cam Smith. A lot of big names come here. It is a sponsorship thing, as you saw. Dustin Johnson was formerly an RBC sponsored golfer. There are a lot of them who take sponsorship dollars who go play this, even though it is one of the smaller purses. Only 8.7 million in the kitty this week. So, Scotty, I mean, you've 3-4 guys essentially right at 10-1, and some people not far off. So, going to be an expensive card as far as risk versus reward for outrights this week. Although Billy Horschel can come along any week. So I'll be looking at some longer odds as I put my numbers together this afternoon. And it's not the only golf tournament. As anyone who's maybe a little more casual with the golf has been following, the Saudi League starts this weekend. We have
it's not the club in Miami, LIV? No,
no. I know what you're
unrelated.
talking about too. The LIV Golf Invitational in London. At again, of course, I'm gonna have to figure out, but as you can see, this DJ opened like 250, and then people said, "Well, we're not gonna bet on him. He hasn't won a tournament in 18 months. He doesn't look like he cares, and he just got 125 million dollars in his bank account. What's gonna motivate this guy?" So it looks like the same thing happened. Taylor Gooch opened second favorite. Louis has gotten bet down. A couple other ones have taken some money. Scott Vincent is someone, if you guys are a hardcore brown bag bets listener, he is someone I bet on in the Olympics in a first round 3-ball matchup. He is I'll just say it, he's a white dude who represents I think it's Zimbabwe. Like, it's weird. You see the Zimbabwe flag, and then it's just some guy that looks like he's from Muirfield, Ohio. But he's lived over there all his life. I can't remember why. His family was maybe like missionaries or something. So I think that's the guy I'm thinking of. There was definitely. I'm gonna feel dumb if I just describe this golfer and it's not even Scott Vincent. But I definitely had. Yes, Dan's saying I am right. I had to look into this because I couldn't figure out why he was in the Olympics. I'm like, I suppose he's the only guy from the Zimbabwean golf team that's actually playing at a high level now. He plays on the Japanese tours. A lot of these guys do. So if I had to make a bet right now, it'd be the Stinky Cheese Burned Wiesberger, but I'm not betting this one yet. I have to figure out what's going on and who gives a shit and if this is even a thing.
It feels honestly like you're handicapping the women's tennis event for the last couple of weeks. Like, you have Dustin Johnson, someone in second who's probably not even that close. And then, I mean, is anybody even remotely close to those two guys? Like, what's the difference between Louis and number 3? Like,
Taylor
giant?
Gooch. Yeah, Taylor Gooch is up and coming, which made, I don't know, it didn't make a ton of sense for him to jump. That's why he was one of the bigger surprises outside of DJ. He's good, not good enough yet. Sergio is, on the decline. Kevin Na probably in the same boat. He can play well, but on the decline. Horsfield is a younger golfer who can play well. Justin Harding, maybe. Matt Jones, maybe. There's some younger ones. Like, this is going to be one where I don't think they're going to price this right at all. And I'm going to be betting people who are 200-1 because there are some young amateur golfers who are probably a little more motivated. They got nice checks, but they didn't get Dustin Johnson checks. So I can see some of these guys who've played well on, the Japanese tour, the European tour, DP, whatever you want to call it. Some of these amateurs who have done well in their ranks just coming out and playing okay. So I'll be looking at some real deep long shots here in this one, and I'll let you know tomorrow what I come up with. First and foremost is the RBC. I need to figure out my RBC numbers and get some outrights bet, but LIV bets are going in the account this week regardless. I feel like I want to be a part of history. It's like betting the first week of
You
anything.
have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to. So I'll have a couple long shots, and I will not. Spoiler alert: I will not be betting Dustin Johnson to win this event.
We got to watch BetSports Golf tomorrow. Just make sure you see what Andy is betting and all those guys over there. I think you're right. I think there might be some definite value in some unheard names. And again, that, like you said, there's got to be some triple digits at the bottom of this board that are live.
Dan said FanDuel took down the LIV odds already. I'm sure they were getting hit in some weird spots. That's got to be a hard market for them to price. And then there's probably some people who have really good, golf numbers from all the various tours that are just seeing some huge mistakes. I should have grabbed all the odds right away and just seen where the steam was coming on the long shots. But I'll talk to a few people I know who might be betting into this market, and a little bit, not far actually from London to the east. They're going to be playing some tennis this week, both the men and women, right? This is a dual event.
Yeah, I think it's are the men in Nottingham as well? I think it's a double dual event week. I know the men and women are definitely in Bosch. I don't know if the men are in Nottingham, but grass season, Andy. I love grass season tennis.
Yes.
It's been a while, and we'll see how it goes.
And
As I mentioned earlier, there hasn't been too much, but it's fun. I like it.
Dan just terrible spelling mistakes here. I'll straighten them out for tomorrow for Sir Bosch. I can see at least 3 mistakes in this right now, but it was
That's
close.
probably on me.
I'm
I just
gonna
copied
blame.
and pasted it from Bovada.
I'm
So
gonna
it's
blame both.
Bovada's fault.
I'm gonna blame both of you, but first and foremost, I will be blaming Bovada. So Sir Bosch, and we have the possibility. Oh, you even parlayed them. That's adorable. I love this. So I want to. What are we doing right off the bat? And what time is it? So it's European tennis. So probably morning
It's
matches for
happening
the
right
most
now.
part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it started as early as 4 o'clock in the morning for Bosch, 5 o'clock in the morning for Nottingham. Nothing that stuck out for me for Nottingham. Some plays going on right now. Let's see, did I have anything today? No, just nothing there. Had some parlays that are already kind of open, and we'll see how those close out. But in Bosch, we're going to put Allison Van Uytvanck together with Greet Minnen. You could just play Minnen straight up if you want. She's like minus 125. I have her closer to minus 140 in this matchup. She goes against Anna Blinkova, who has a game, honestly, that might work well on grass, but just little to no history of success, especially over the limited sample size we've seen for the past couple of years now. Both of them are in kind of rough form, but I think Minnen definitely snaps back into form here. This has been a great surface for her for the last couple times she's gotten a chance to play it, and it has come in cold, honestly, from clay season. So I was able to get her a little bit better number, but Van Uytvanck, this is also the season where she really kind of makes her points. There's just a few players that kind of survive through clay season, do well in some of the faster hardcourt events, but really, really do well here in grass season, and Van Uytvanck is one of them. So really like her this matchup against Tamara Korpat. She's minus 550, but I have it closer like minus 1500. It's hard to price matches, honestly, when it gets out to be that big, but just see some value here. I mean, short of there being an injury or something crazy, she wins this match pretty comfortably. So I'll put her to get Minnen together at plus money. And then one underdog I like for tomorrow. Honestly, a little bit concerned that this number hasn't moved at all much, but Harmony Tan playing against Tamara Zidansek. Tan has played a bunch of grass tennis in her life, has had success in Nottingham, has had success here before. It's been a little while since they played this event, but in general, it does very well in grass season, and Zidansek doesn't. More of a clay player, does hit the ball very well and has a strong serve. So maybe can adapt here, but I have her nowhere near minus 375, and she's laying 4.5 games here. So happy to take the underdog that I have this much closer to 2-1, even a little bit less as I start to tweak some stuff. And the 4.5 games I would have closer to 3.5. So give me the spread, give me the money line, and then a little parlay there at the top. Again, these will be tomorrow in Sertogenbosch.
Sertogenbosch. Harmony Tan. No relation to Amy Tan. Celebrated writer. I don't know that for sure. I'm gonna have to double check it. Harmony Tan's from France. Like I doubt they're related. So
probably not.
All right. Yeah, we'll have more stuff tomorrow. Like I said, I'll actually have my golf outrights to talk about when I get back Wednesday. Matt, we'll fill your head with some hockey. There's a chance we have a sweep on deck. I believe, yeah, it's Avalanche are up 3-0, aren't they? Or is it 2-0 right now? It's
3-0.
3-0. So they play tonight. We might have a series completely over by the time we get to our Tuesday hockey stuff. Real quick, I did bet Duncan Keith, anytime goal scorer for tonight.
Oh yes.
Just because I Googled like who's good in elimination games historically. and I was looking for stats on who's good in elimination games, or like what any sort of historical stats for overs, unders, like the teams play tighter. And all I kept running into was people had run into like made their own charts of who's good in elimination games. Patrick Kane, very good in elimination games of people who are still playing. Second best or third best of active players, Duncan Keith. So Duncan Keith, 9-1 anytime
Got
goal
Duncan on
scorer. It was very, by the way, Bet Builder. I need to get the legal books apparently. Bet Builder is very hard to bet $50 on something like this, to the point where I had to bet $25 at 2 different places. So very annoying. I just wanted to have a fun hockey bet for the night. So that's kind of a bonus bet. If you like a bonus bet, give us a thumbs up in the chat. And I'm going to turn back to getting some tennis on, apparently. If we have early morning European tennis, I'm going to get the other TV on. I'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Noops will be back tomorrow. Good luck with everything.